With Medical Billers Day being this month, March 26, 2026 to be exact, it is actually the last Thursday of March each year, so the date changes a little bit. But in honor of Medical Billers Day, I am going to be talking all about the roles or the duties that medical billers play within the revenue cycle. Now, if you don't know what revenue cycle is, I will link a video that I did above, and I will also put on the screen my interpretation of the revenue cycle. Now, if you Google the revenue cycle, you will notice that there are different interpretations, and I don't think any one is correct over the other. But I'm going to be talking about today part 2 of the duties, which is reimbursement management, and I'll show you that process within my interpretation of the revenue cycle. Now, medical billers don't just submit claims and then hope that they get paid or they get paid correctly. We fight for the reimbursements for our providers. And I always like to say medical billing is more than submitting claims. I actually have a t-shirt in my shop that says that. So if you haven't checked that out already, make sure you check out my shop where I have that saying on a t-shirt, along with other things like, mugs and journals and stuff like that that you can use practically as a medical biller. But medical billing is definitely more than just submitting claims. Sometimes it gets the bad rap of just being data entry, but if it was just data entry, then I think so many people would be in it already, and it definitely is far from data entry. And make sure you check out part 1, which was claims management, and we're going to jump right into reimbursement management. So what is reimbursement management? It is payment posting. It is making sure that fee schedules are correct, making sure that you understand contracts and credentialing, making sure that you identify underpayments and overpayments, and insurance follow-up. So there's a lot of processes or a lot of parts within the reimbursement management. It's just not, oh, I collected money, oh, we got a check, or we got a, ACH payment, and that is it. When you are handling the reimbursement for your providers, there are a lot of things that you need to look at. So I'm going to talk about how reimbursement management is done. And it will be done differently for different people depending on the software that you use and your process or your workflow within your practice management. But I'm just going to touch the basics or the foundation or basis, which is what should be going on during the reimbursement management section. So of course, when you think about reimbursement, you're thinking about payment. And that is what we as medical billers want. We want our providers to be paid for the services that they render to patients. But it's not always going to be a payment. Sometimes you will have to enter into the system a payment, but sometimes you will also have to enter into the system a claim that was processed, but it wasn't paid, at least not by the insurance payer or the third party payer. You are going to have to be able to document these payments or these reimbursements within the system. Now, I believe that it is really important that you always post payments in the system. I have been in different practices where I've noticed that people didn't think that posting the payments were important. They were just saying, okay, I'm going to look at this EOB. Oh, I noticed that they paid for such and such patient, and that was good enough for them. We got the money. That's good enough for me. But you actually need to enter this in the system. Your practice management system is where you keep all the records of billing, where you can pull them up later on to check and make sure that you got what you were supposed to receive. And you don't have to keep looking back at the paperwork per se because it's already in the system. Now, when you post payments, you can post them manually or you can post them automatically. When you post payments manually, you may get it in a paper remit form, or you may actually get it in a ERA remit form, which is electronic. And you may have to post it manually because you're getting the ERA electronically or you're getting the paper in your hand and you want to be able to put it in the system. It may get a little confusing sometimes because you may receive an electronic remit, but it doesn't automatically go into your system. And so that is when you have to post it manually to make sure that it goes into the system. If you get an electronic remit and your practice management system and clearinghouse are speaking, or you have that feature and you're able to bring that remit within your system and then You have some systems that automatically post it for you. So if there's no errors, if everything is adding up, if things look right, then the system could automatically post it for you. You also have it where it brings it into the system, but it doesn't post it automatically for you. You're going to have to go through it and click post, or it may do it quickly. It may be able to do more than one patient at a time, but you're still going to have to click a button to have it posted. I have worked in many systems where I only received paper remits and I had to enter each and every one of those. I have been in systems where the electronic remit comes into the system, but I have to go through them and actually click post. And then I have worked in systems where I don't even see the remit sometimes and the system automatically does it for you. But I think if I had to choose which one was the best for me or which one I liked the most, it would probably be the second one, where I have to actually click on post in order to make sure that the payment is posted or it's processed in the system. Because I believe when you are posting payments, there are more things that you need to look at. Again, when you are posting payments, you want to make sure that the fee schedule that your provider is contracted with, the third-party payer or the insurance company, is being honored. Sometimes you may send out a claim and the insurance pays, but they don't pay you at the rate that they're supposed to. This is something that the medical biller needs to catch and needs to get corrected. Now, I wouldn't say that they're doing it on purpose. It could be something like maybe credentialing didn't go through, or it didn't go through correct, or, any number of things could happen, but it is up to us to check and make sure that these figures are correct. So we want to make sure, even though our practice management system may say they can do it for us, we should always have a human or a biller who is overlooking that to make sure that we're getting for the provider what they're supposed to get or what they agreed to. So paying attention to details and to numbers is one of the key things that you as a medical biller should do. When you're looking through these remits, again, you want to make sure that numbers aren't transposed. You want to make sure that the CPT codes that you build are actually the CPT codes that are being paid for. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes you may get back a payment for a CPT that you didn't even bill. The remit total may say that you're supposed to receive $100.69, and then the actual check is $106.69. There can be any amount of issues that happen, and so as a biller, you are looking at these numbers and the details on the remit forms. You should be looking at them for each and every remit that you get. You also want to be consistent in posting these remits, be on time with posting the remits. If you receive a remit in March, like how we are now, it shouldn't take you 2 and 3 months to post this remit. I like to post my remits within days that I receive them. And now in one of the systems that I actually work in, I receive the remit before it even kind of gets to the provider. Let me see if I can explain that right. Today is March 9th, and I may have a remit that is dated March 10th or March 11th, and it's already within my practice management system. So I just like to keep up on posting my remits in a timely fashion. When I started working for a practice that I currently work for, I had to give them about a month to catch up on posting payments. And that is because, again, many providers don't see the importance of posting the payments. They figure, again, I received the payment, oh, we got some money coming in, it looks like things are coming in. But as I told them, they don't know if it's correct what they're receiving. They don't know what date of service, what patient it's for, if you're not posting the payments. So being consistent and being timely when posting the payments is definitely one of the things that a medical biller should be making sure that they do. Now, I keep talking about how this reimbursement process is important, and let me explain to you why it matters financially and operationally. First of all, it gives you accurate numbers that you can use to improve your workflows and your systems within the practice. If you are waiting too far to post certain payments, if you are, not posting them at all, it can appear that a certain payer maybe is not paying you on time, or they're not paying you correctly, or they're not paying you at all. If you're starting to notice when you look in the system that a patient has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 claims that are not paid, then you start to worry, okay, what's going on? Why is this not being paid? And so then you start to think that it is the insurance. But in actuality, if it's just that it wasn't posted, then that can give you some skewed numbers, some skewed views of what's actually going on. You want to be using the numbers that you get. So when you receive payments, you want to be using those numbers to make crucial decisions in the practice. Does the provider want to continue contracting with a certain, insurance company? What is going on? Are we getting a lot of denials? That's why we're not getting paid. Do we need to negotiate our fee schedules and our contracts to a higher amount? All of these things come into play, but you can only figure this out when you actually enter in your payments and post them regularly and consistently so you can have these numbers and make sure that they are accurate. Operationally, it doesn't waste time for the person who's doing the billing. So if I am doing billing and I have a stack of remits that I need to enter into the system, or I might not have them in paper form, but I have them in my practice management system just waiting for me to post them, and I'm not posting them, but I'm going through patients' records and I'm noticing that, oh wow, Jane Doe's insurance hasn't paid in a while, and so then I decide to either go online to see if it's paid, or I decide to call them and see if they paid. And we all know that when you call an insurance company, how long that can take just to find out information about one claim. If I was posting consistently, if I was making sure that when I actually receive the payments that I put it in the system, then I wouldn't have to do that at all. That I wouldn't be wasting that time looking up this information, checking this, checking that. When the provider asks you about a particular insurance or a particular patient, you don't have to waste your time going into the portal, calling up. You have that information because you already posted it. It makes it so much easier for you to be able to pull up this information, this past information, even if it's from years ago. You can see it one time without having to physically pull up the remits, look for it online, do all of. So it's going to be saving you a lot of time where you can be doing something else instead of wasting your time and doing things that you should have already done, and they become repetitive tasks, because then after you pull that up, you're going to say, oh, well, yes, this patient's insurance paid for data service 3/1 of 2026. But then now you have to post that payment, and maybe you decide to post it at one time, but then now you still have it in your backlog of payment posting to do, so then it comes up again. It just can become a complete mess. So posting them on time is something you need to make sure you make time for it and do it consistently and regularly. And also with patients, you want to make sure that the patient-provider relationship stays intact. If you're not posting payments, then you could be calling up your patients and complaining about their insurance, or telling them that they owe or are responsible for things that they're not responsible for, that have already been paid, but because you didn't post the payment, it looks like their insurance is not paying. You don't want to make your patient distrust what you're saying or your workflows or how you're doing your job if you are calling them up, sending them statements, making them believe that they owe more than they actually owe. You want to keep that provider-patient relationship intact. You want to make sure that they trust you and that they trust what you're doing as a practice. If you're enjoying these videos so far, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I have more medical billing videos to come. And I'll see you again in my next video.